Nick, good to see you. We are diving into the headlines today, talking about the recent passage of the Big Beautiful Bill and what it means for your retirement. Washington recently passed what President Trump is calling the Big Beautiful Bill, which could reshape how Americans are planning for retirement. So, we're going to talk about the biggest takeaways. But, Nick, let's just start big picture. What do we need to know?
So called the Big Beautiful Bill, but in reality, it's one big opportunity. That's how I
Okay,
want people to look at this. Politics aside, don't look at it from politics, look at it from planning.
right.
Okay. There are planning opportunities. And my job as a financial advisor, my job as a wealth coach is to look at things and not say, oh, you know what, this is going to do that. Or it's to look at it and say, what's the opportunity? What are the golden nuggets that are inside this thing that we can use to our advantage? Because there are some things that we can use to our advantage. So I jotted down a bunch of things here. We actually sent out an email to all of our clients about this on Monday, just laying out what we saw as the opportunities here with this entire situation with the Big Beautiful Bill. And one thing is that it lowered the lower taxes got locked in. And what a lot of people say is, well, weren't they already? No, they weren't. The tax cuts that we had in 2017 were only temporary. And so they were already set to go higher December 31 of 2025 if they didn't do something. Well, now all
Right.
of a sudden these tax cuts that happened in 2017 are permanent. And so they got locked in. Also on top of that, the standard deduction. Now they bumped up the standard deduction a little bit, but that also got locked in. That was not permanent either. That was also temporary. They now made that permanent, and they're going to inflate that every year. They're going to adjust that for inflation every year. They also brought out a new senior bonus deduction. This was their effort to try and handle that whole thing that they were trying to get past, where there was going to be no tax on Social Security. They reached a different way of getting there, a little bit of gray area because they couldn't, because of something called the Bird Law or Bird Rule. They weren't able to actually get it passed that way. So what they did is they added this new senior bonus deduction of $6,000 a person, $12,000 for a couple, to help cut back on what a person has to be able to deduct that against what they get in Social Security benefits. Charitable giving deductions, they added some of those back in. The estate and gift tax went to 15 million went to 15 million and 30 million. So that helps with legacy planning, family business
Hmm.
transfers, and some of that. And I do know I had some clients call up. They're retired, but they have kids. And they're asking me, well, hey, what about this whole no tax on tips? I have a daughter who works in a restaurant, or overtime, because I have a son who works at a place and he gets a lot of overtime. What's the situation with that? And with the no tax on tips situation, they did do something on that. They had up to $25,000 deduction for people to go against their tax on their tips, but that's only temporary, 2025 to 2028, so that's not permanent. And that gets phased out if you make too much. And then on overtime, you can deduct up to $12,500 for overtime. But again, that's temporary as well. And that only goes from 2025 to 2028. So there was a bunch of things that did get through on this. There is some opportunities in here that people need to be aware of.
Hmm. And we're going to talk more about some of those tax opportunities in a little bit, but I do want to circle back to what you just mentioned, which was that $6,000 tax credit, because that was being framed as a way to reduce or eliminate taxes on Social Security. But experts say it's not that simple. So, can you break down what that means, please?
So think of this as a discounted concert ticket for retirees.
Okay.
If your income stays in a certain range, you get in free. But if you're a VIP that's in the suite in the box section, you still have to pay full price. So the real planning, the real planning move is going to be in how to use this deduction window to maybe redirect tax savings into other things.
Mm.
But here's what ends up happening with this whole thing. I got an article that I pulled off here from CBS News. And so what it said in this article is, it says in a press release, the Social Security Administration said that the tax and spending package, which the president signed, ensures that nearly 90% of Social Security beneficiaries will no longer pay federal income taxes on their benefits. That came from Social Security Administration. The bill doesn't eliminate taxes on Social Security. Again, going on with this article, the bill doesn't eliminate Social Security taxes on Social Security, but rather introduces a temporary deduction, just temporary, that beneficiaries can claim to lower their federal income tax. Notably, that deduction applies to all seniors, to all of a senior's income, not just to Social Security benefits. So it's really to somebody 65 and over. So if they are 65 and over, they get the deduction even if they're not taking Social Security.
Right. With income restrictions as well, though.
It does have income restrictions. Good point. I'm going to get to that too. And again, this had to do with this whole Byrd rule, so that they tried to get this just flatline, no tax on Social Security across the board. But because of this Byrd rule, it prevented them from actually doing it. So what the bill does is it provides a temporary tax deduction of $6,000 for seniors age 65 and over. The tax break is available to people with an adjusted gross income of $75,000 or less, or $150,000 for couples filing jointly. The deduction is set to expire at the end of 2028. So if you're a couple, $12,000 is what you get your deduction on. And that's in addition to your standard deduction. So if your standard deduction is, say, $30,000, now you get this $12,000 deduction to help offset your Social Security income on top of that. So you would have 30 plus 12, that's $42,000 of deductions. And so what I was mentioning earlier is giving you an opportunity now to redirect some of your tax savings into maybe taking some of that deduction towards doing things like Roth conversions.
Right.
Or maybe using some of that money to build up some of your healthcare reserves. So there's some opportunities in that. But again, remember, this is temporary. This deduction for seniors, it only goes until 2028, and then it goes away.
So I think a lot of people will hear those headlines on Nick and wonder if this changes the strategy for how they should be saving for retirement and or even when they should be claiming Social Security.
I think it's going to lure people in. I think what's going to happen is people are going to say, oh, there's a standard deduction. Oh, there's a senior bonus deduction. So in order to get that senior bonus deduction, I must have to turn on Social Security. And they'll make the decision to turn on Social Security early and lock in benefits early, and they'll make that decision. And what you're showing here is how much benefits you get cut if you turn on Social Security earlier rather than later. So I think what people are going to do is they're going to say, oh, hey, I can turn on Social Security now and I can get a tax deduction against it. So I may as well turn it on now. But again, it's only temporary. It's not permanent. And so they're going to make a decision based on taxes that are temporary instead of how does Social Security play in the long-term picture. Because for some people, I've seen it, we've done the math, where if they turn on Social Security at 62, maybe they run out of money at 90 or 95. But if they turn on Social Security at 67, their money lasts until they're 98 or 99. And if the math points that out to me, well, why not wait a little bit to take Social Security if it means I'm going to extend how long my money lasts? So there's more than just taxes playing into the picture. But I think that's what's going to happen is people are going to look at that and say, oh, I can get this deduction if I turn on Social Security right now, thinking it's going to go away if they don't do it. And that's not the case.
Right. And just to ask this question in another way for clarification, Nick, you get that deduction whether or not you're claiming Social Security as long as you're over 65 and under those income restrictions.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. And now, as with any bill that passes, there's going to be the interpretation of that that's going to be coming out in the coming days. I mean, it's things like that big, right? So once all this works out, you're going to have the interpretation of that bill that's going to come out and how that actually goes into practice and goes into law. And so there's going to be tweaks and changes and whatever, and changes the interpretation. That's how we see it right now. And more will be coming out of that in the coming weeks and months.
Okay, so now let's circle back to that strategic tax planning, how this kind of extends the runway for Roth conversions. The 2017 tax cuts have been made permanent. I put that in quotes because it's only permanent until they change it again. But why does a Roth conversion make more sense now? And why are Roth accounts so powerful?
I think it's when what you said, Aaron, is for now. Tax cuts are low for now. They've locked it in for now. Yeah, this is a chart that shows historically what taxes have been over time. And you can see that historically taxes have been much higher, double what they are right now. The thing is, the or the government knows this. The Congress knows this chart backwards and forwards. They know that they've had it higher in the past. And so how they're almost how I want people to look at this is if they've had it higher in the past, they can go back there in the future. And so look at now as taxes were at a discount and are going to continue to be at a discount for now until a future Congress changes it and maybe raises it. So use this as a window of opportunity. We have a rare runway right now where we know for the next at least 1, 2, or 3 years what tax rates are going to be. We don't have to worry about that. We know what it's going to be. So what that means is you can take some of your money that's in these tax buckets that are tax inefficient and pay those taxes up front, what we call Roth Conversions. And you can pay those taxes up front on money that's pre-tax. Cleanse it of its taxes now at lower tax rates and convert that money into tax-free wealth. So when taxes go up in the future, you have tax-free money that's tax-free forever. So now is an opportune time because now this this runway for lower taxes is extended out at least several more years. And so you can do strategic Roth integration and not have to feel like I got to convert everything this year. You can do it slowly over the next couple years, knowing tax rates are going to be lower, at least for the time being.
Well, Nick, I very much value being able to talk this through with you because there are certain, as you mentioned, opportunities, and at least we now have a little bit more time to crunch the numbers. So if somebody wants to talk through Roth conversions or when to claim Social Security with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Look at this as this isn't just policy, it's a signal.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening is a signal. The tax door is open, but only for a few more years. So if you want to lower taxes forever, the very first thing that you got to do is you got to get a tax x-ray. So you know where you're at and you can plan out what are my future taxes looking like and what can I do today using these new tax laws so that I can lower my taxes in the future. And so it all starts with a tax x-ray. The easiest way to do that is to start the conversation. And our team can get with you for a 15-minute strategy session call. All they have to do is go to our website, group10financial.com. And we have an online calendar. You can go there, you can click on that, and you can set up a time with our team for a 15-minute strategy session call where we can figure out what's going on from a tax standpoint and help you become more tax efficient so that you're not paying Uncle Sam unnecessary taxes in the future. We want to legally, morally, and ethically disinherit Uncle Sam from your money. Right now, taxes are going down, but the problem is, are staying down. But the problem is with that is people get complacent and they'll say, oh, they're lower, so I don't have to do anything. No, this is the opportunity.
Right, exactly. Nick, thank you so much for your time today.
Great being with you, Aaron.